And on October 10th, we're having our next garden talk with Master Gardener Bob Masali, and he'll be teaching us about backyard bird habitats. And today's event was made possible by the Friends of the Library, who helped us get the Zoom, and in partnership with the UC Master Gardeners of Marin and the Commons Foundation. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We post lots of stuff there, fun stuff as well. And today's workshop is being recorded. So if for some reason you get bumped off or you lose your connection, we'll send a follow-up email with the link to the recording. And then later today, we'll be asking questions, and we're going to ask people to use the Q&A box or the chat box to ask your questions. And then the library is open Tuesday through Saturday. We're still doing curbside. We're not allowing people into the library yet, but you can still put books on hold, and then we'll have them ready for you when you call us at curbside. So. So we'll give it one more minute to let more people come into the room. Again, I'm Franklin Escobedo. I'm the Community Services Director here at the Larkspur Library, and I want to welcome you to our Youth Garden Talk. So today we're here with UC Marin Master Gardeners Dawniele Pasha and Catherine Wolfers, who are going to be leading today's workshop. So here, let me stop the share. And thank you. And I'm going to hand this over to Catherine and Dawniele. So welcome, everybody.
Hi, everybody. All right. Franklin, are we going to poll everybody before we get started, or should we do our?
Yeah, I always forget that. So let's run the poll. So we just want to know who everybody is today. And then did you come last time? So to the last workshop that we had on September 12th. And then also, if you didn't know, you can, we were hoping you would come by the library to pick up the little snack and seeds that we had. But if you didn't, we're going to still have them for next week. So give us a call and we'll have them set up for you. So you can swing by the library to pick up the little snacks that we had. It was the popcorn and the seeds. So we hope you come by and get them. So. And those were made possible by the Dawniele and Catherine, who brought them so you guys could have them. So if you didn't pick them up, just have somebody come by and pick them up for you next week. So, or even later today after we're done. Okay, so we're asking everybody to fill out the little poll. You know that it looks like about half of you guys have done it. Hopefully you see it on your screen.
Franklin, will Dawniele and I be able to see the results of those, or are those just going on your screen?
I think it just goes on the screen. I can share the results in a second. So
Oh, okay.
we have 12 of the 18 people have filled out the poll.
I tried to fill out the poll, it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I think for us panelists, we can't fill it out. So.
Yeah.
And then we have people who are still coming into the room. So welcome, good morning. If we're gonna keep this up for a few more seconds, so if you get a chance to fill the poll out so we can know who it is. And then I'm gonna share the results with everybody. Thank you for our Master Gardeners who are joining us, and for the little ones. We've got a couple first graders and third graders here today. Okay, so it was about 70%. So I'm going to end the poll. And hopefully you guys can see the poll results, right?
Oh, great. Yep. Students, parents, students, master gardeners. Yay.
Okay, I'm going to stop and then I'm going to hand it back over to you guys. So.
Great. And then we were also curious, for those that are on today, if you came 2 weeks ago to the first part of this presentation when we covered roots, stems, and leaves. Can we ask people about that, Franklin?
It was on the poll. It was the third question. I just need to scroll down.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's okay.
So a few people came last time.
There it goes. Oh, okay. Great. Okay, so looks like most people didn't. Okay, well that's good to know because we'll do a brief recap of that when we get started here. But before Dawniele and I disappear and get our faces off of the screen so you can see the presentation, we wanted to introduce ourselves. My name's Catherine Wolfers, and I'm a teacher, and I teach garden ed to students, and I have been doing that for a while throughout the Bay Area, both public and private schools, most recently at Edna McGuire School in Mill Valley, and then before that at Bayside MLK Academy in Marin City. I'm also a mom. I have 2 daughters that go to Redwood. I live in Corte Madera. And I'm also a Master Gardener. So Dawniele and I both went through the UC Master Gardener training program. I did that back in 2012. And so I focus all of my Master Gardener attention primarily to schools, helping out school gardens and community gardens, and just educating the public as much as I can about my love, which is gardening and growing food.
That's great. Hi, everybody. I'm Dawniele Pasha. Just wanted to introduce myself as well. I'm a mom, I'm a gardener, and I'm also a Master Gardener. So I became a Master Gardener in 2014, and that has led me to this wonderful world of working with school and community gardens, which I have done throughout the county. I've mentored the Canal Community Garden. I've worked over at Park Elementary School, being the garden specialist, teaching K through 5th grade. And I'm active currently in the Larkspur Community Garden. And right now I am also helping out at the Hall Middle School Garden. And through my volunteer efforts with Marin Master Gardeners, I'm also out in school and community gardens and trying to educate and also share my love of edibles and gardening as well. So thanks to everybody for coming.
Great. So yeah, here we are. This is part 2 of Dig It, Grow It, Eat It. We're going to be talking about flowers, fruits, and seeds. And before we get started, Dawniele, I think, is going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a Master Gardener.
Yes, I am. The first thing I wanted to touch on, though, was just, well, let me talk about being a Master Gardener. So as Kat had mentioned, we do a training course through the University of California Cooperative Extension. And our mission is to get out into the public and to spread the knowledge of garden and home agriculture or home horticulture and various aspects of gardening. That could be a sustainable landscaping, it could be California natives, it could be all about composting, and it's all information that's all been science researched information that we are spreading to the public for free. So you might have seen us at the farmers markets before. If you have any plant problems or issues, you're welcome to contact our help desk. I believe that can be done via email, and we do have a link at the end of the slideshow. So feel free to contact us if you have a problem. And right now, a lot of Master Gardeners are hosting Zooms via the library. We also have a YouTube channel, so check us out. And then I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Dig It, Grow It, Eat It program, especially since we have so many new attendees today, which is great. So Dig It, Grow It, Eat It started in 2014 from one of our very own Master Gardeners, Anne-Marie Walker. And she went ahead and wanted to start a free field trip to have schools come and learn about gardening. So the Marin Art and Garden Center is where we would host this, and they were very generous in allowing us to come and put on this wonderful day. And Dig It, Grow It, Eat It contains 5 stations, and it's all about, first we start in the soil, then we talk about seeds, we do a little math in the garden, we talk about pollination, and then the parts of the plant and their job, which today we're doing the second part, which is flowers, fruits, and seeds. In the fall, we also would not be at the Marin Art and Garden Center. We would actually come with a team of Master Gardeners and go to schools within the county. We would hit about 3 or 4 schools in the spring and work with kids directly in their school gardens and help them plant and help them learn about really cool things like potatoes. And we would do the edible plant part station, and we would give them a nice, yummy rainbow snack, which we will go ahead and talk a little bit further into our program today.
All right. So can everybody see my slide that's showing what we're going to cover today?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. Great. So we are going to be talking about the 6 parts of flowering plants. Now this time, like we said, we're going to be focusing on flowers, fruits, and seeds. Last time we focused on roots, stems, and leaves. We are going to talk about each one of those parts of the plant and what they do. And then we're also going to show you examples of different edible flowers, fruits, and seeds. And then we're going to taste that rainbow by way of getting out our snack towards the end. And then at the very end, there's a list of books and activities and other things. If we have time, we'll get to those. And then we will also do some questions at the end. So the picture on this slide, I just wanted to explain it a little bit. Like Dawniele mentioned, we've been doing these Dig It, Grow It, Eat It programs with schools, in the school and at the Marin Art and Garden Center. And this is typically a poster that we show all the kids that day when they come to the 6 plant part station. And there is, I would normally hold it up in front of the group of kids and we would talk about each one. So this is all new to us, doing it over Zoom. But here we go. All right, so we first want to start out just with a brief description of the parts of a plant, just to familiarize everybody with what we're talking about. And then this will be a bit of a review for those of us that, those of you that were with us 2 weeks ago. So most plants have 6 parts. And if you look at the picture on the right, it's a tomato plant. And you can see, I'll move my cursor over here, starting at the bottom when we look at the roots. So last time we talked about how the roots, their job is to grab nutrients and to grab moisture from the soil and to bring it to the rest of the plant. So that heads up to the stem, whose big job is to take those nutrients and that moisture and, like an elevator, bring it up to the rest of the plant. Especially, we talked about the leaves last time and how their magic job is to capture sunlight and turn it into food for the rest of the plant. So this time we're going to be focusing on the flowers, whose job it is to become pollinated, basically to make seeds. And the fruit of the plant is the yummy part that we eat, but it has a special job we're going to talk about later on, protecting those seeds. Because ultimately the seeds, they are what will grow a new plant. So they have an important sort of hidden job and responsibility. And we can eat all of these different plant parts, not necessarily from the tomato plant. We wouldn't want to eat the tomato roots or the stems or the leaves. We would only want to eat the fruit of the tomato plant. The rest of that plant might make us kind of sick. But we'll find out today. We'll explore all the different plant parts that we can eat. Okay, so first up, we're going to be talking about the flowers. And before we do that, we're going to take a little trip into Dawniele's garden through a video. All right. Dawniele, that was a recent video, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So pretty. I loved looking at all those different flowers, and I don't know how in the world you managed to capture that monarch butterfly as it landed on that flower, but good job.
Thank you. I was in the right place at the right time.
So most plants grow flowers, and like I briefly talked about, so flowers, you know, they're the part of the plant that they're going to produce the seeds when they get pollinated. So in order that, you know, they want to get pollinated by bees and birds and bats even, and butterflies, like we saw that monarch. And in order to do that, they need to look pretty. They need to be colorful to attract those pollinators to come land on them. And it helps when they're sweet, when they have nectar inside for those insects and birds to eat, because that's how they are carrying the pollen from one plant to another. Some plants do get pollinated by the wind. And you know, once the flowers get pollinated, that's what develops the seeds. So that is the main function of a flower. And this picture, I love this picture. This is Dawniele's hand holding a small zucchini plant, or zucchini fruit rather, that still has the blossom attached. Now, usually when we buy them in the store, they don't have the blossom on it. So this is an opportunity for you to take a look at what it looks like right off of the vine. And most of us just eat the zucchini, but believe it or not, you can eat the blossom on the top. And actually, I was talking to Dawniele just yesterday about this. My favorite way to eat zucchini blossoms is stuffed with goat cheese and fried, and they're delicious. And sometimes you see them on pizzas, but they are edible. And the picture underneath that are other dried flowers that you might have seen before to smell a room, like with potpourri or in a sachet. But some of them you can make tea out of. So we eat flowers, not from all plants. We're going to look at some examples, probably more familiar flowers that we eat from plants, cauliflowers and broccoli. There's also an artichoke in that picture, tucked away. And we are curious about flowers that everybody likes to eat. And so Franklin, can we open up the chat and have people type in what their favorite flower is to eat?
It should be on now so everybody will see everybody's answers. So.
Oh, great.
So Catherine, can I add one little thing about the flowers that we typically eat, like broccoli and cauliflower and artichoke? So those are, you know, the floret, or this, you know, the center of the plant, the flower, but it hasn't quite bloomed yet, but it's ready to. And if we kind of cut it and interrupt the, you know, that opening up of the flower process, so like the broccoli, if you let it grow and grow and grow, it'll just start to kind of get longer, and it opens up, and all these little yellow flowers, you know, all of a sudden, you know, come onto your plant, or they open up from that tight floret that we go ahead and eat. Same thing with the artichoke, it opens up and blossoms, and the cauliflower. So, you know, it kind of looks like a flower at this phase, but if you were to let it grow longer, and sometimes you can see that like on broccolini in the grocery store, they'll have like some of it'll be, most of it'll be green, but sometimes you'll see a couple little yellow flowers.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because you know, a lot of questions that I get from kids in schools is where are broccoli seeds?
Right.
Because you don't usually see seeds when you're eating broccoli, right? Because you're just eating sort of the young, immature version of the flower.
Yeah, and the seeds are really cool on a broccoli plant. It grows like these little, each flower will grow like a little bean, and inside is a little row of seeds, little black seeds. They're teeny tiny, but one broccoli plant grows, I don't know, thousands, maybe 1,000 seeds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. It's pretty amazing.
Sorry, just a technical note here. So I can't see the Q&A. Dawniele, are you able to see the Q&A?
Yes, we don't have anything in the Q&A right now, but in the chat, I think everyone can kind of see it, but we're getting a lot of broccoli, cauliflower, and a squash blossom. I'm going to take that as a blossom. And then borage, which we did see, that was the purple flower in the video, which actually it tastes like cucumber.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing, can you read the chat?
I can't. No, I tried to find it, and
Okay.
my screen sort of went a little crazy. So maybe if you want to just comment on that, since I can't see it.
Sure. Yeah, lots of broccoli. And then somebody asked, I haven't heard of nasturtium. And we will see some nasturtium flowers in the seed video, and keep an eye out for them. And I'm sure you've seen them around. They have round leaves, and they're bright orange. And then
we always call them, or my students always call them pepper flowers, because they taste really peppery or spicy flowers.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite flower to eat?
My favorite flower, I would say, would be calendula. And calendula is one of my favorites because you can eat it on a salad. Doesn't really have much flavor, but I love to make things out of it. It's really good for your skin. So I'll dry them and infuse it with oil and do all that stuff. But probably my normal everyday favorite would be an artichoke if I were to eat one with dinner. Yummy. What about you?
Well, I think the zucchini blossom, I have to say, it's such a, they're not available that often, just in the summertime when zucchinis are growing around here. They don't travel well. So, you have to buy them locally or grow them in order to eat them. All right. So I think, Dawniele, we're going to move back into your garden.
Yes. And remember, we want them to try to do something.
Oh, that's right. So friends, we are going to take a trip back into Dawniele's garden. This time we're going to look at fruits. And we're going to challenge you guys to count how many different fruits you see in the video. Not every single fruit, but different kinds of fruits. Okay, here we go.
Good luck, everyone.
All right, so if you think you know how many different kinds of fruits you saw, why don't you go ahead and type that in the chat. We'll see.
Oh, someone said 7. It's a good guess, but not. Somebody said, I think there was around 4 to 7. It's a nice spread. Someone said 5. Someone said 9. Someone said 8. No one's got it yet. 6. Yay, Emily, you got it. 5. All right. Well, good eyes, guys. That was a little tricky because we saw a couple, like we saw a lot of tomatoes. We saw 2 different plants though. They were different variety, but they were still tomatoes. We counted that as 1. And then we saw peppers, and then we saw cucumbers, and the cucumber fruit some of them were really small. And then we saw that big one at the end, but that was all cucumbers. So that was 3. And then we saw the pumpkin. So that was 4. Why am I getting 5, Kat?
Well, that's right. That's 4. And then we saw the apple tree.
Oh, the apple tree. I forgot about the apple tree. That's right. That's technically my neighbor's, not mine, but hey, it's along the fence. And then 6, we saw the zucchini. So 6 is the correct answer, but I'm really glad everybody came really close. And Emily, congratulations. You did it.
And then somebody else had a range, right? Somebody said 5 to 7.
Yep, 5 to 7.
Yeah, and so I think one of the most interesting of all those pictures for me is the cucumber, because a lot of times people are so used to seeing cucumbers in the store when they're sort of shiny and smooth, and you know, when they're growing, they have little spikes all over them, and even when you harvest them, they have little spikes on them. And so I usually wear gloves when I harvest them and rub off those tiny little spikes.
Yeah.
So that might not have been recognizable to some people if you haven't seen a zucchini growing. So, you know, an easy way to think about fruits is it's just the fleshy part of the plant that contains and protects the seeds. So I love this picture of the pumpkin, the Muscat de Provence pumpkin, because you can really see how thick that flesh is. And that's the job of the fruit. It's just to protect the seeds that are inside. So, you know, a lot of fruits are super fleshy and juicy in order to protect those seeds. And that pumpkin in the picture has a couple of seeds on it, not as many as I think you typically see in a carving pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern. And then the peppers that are in this picture will have tons of tiny little seeds. But one thing to keep in mind is, you know, some fruits only have 1 seed in them or a pit. So things like avocados and cherries. Oops, we put cherry on there. There's a typo. Cherries and peaches. And so another thing about fruits is they're often sweet inside. So, and then one other thing I would like to mention about fruits is, you know, scientists, as we are, as gardeners, the botanist, you know, we talk about fruits a little bit differently than a chef, for instance, somebody who prepares food. So chefs typically classify fruits and vegetables a little bit differently than we scientists do. So we know that in order to be a fruit, it has to contain seeds. So, you know, there are some tomatoes come to mind, some fruits like tomatoes and zucchini that, you know, chefs kind of think about as being vegetables. And maybe that's how you've thought of them too, or learned about them over the years, as we have this idea that things like peppers and zucchini and tomatoes and pumpkins even are veggies, but really they're fruits because they have seeds inside. Okay, some other examples of fruits. I love this picture Dawniele took of all the different fruits cut open so you can see the seeds inside. Typically we don't see banana seeds, do we? But the top of the picture, there's a banana cut in half lengthwise to see all of the tiny, tiny little seeds. And then the pomegranate seeds, and there's passion fruit in the middle there. And even the cucumber, you know, they have sort of the fleshy surrounding of the seeds that makes it tasty to us, but protective for the actual seed. So we're curious to know what everybody's favorite fruit is. If you want to share what that is, you can type it in the chat. I'm trying to think of what my favorite fruit is, and that's always a hard question, but I think my all-time favorite fruit is probably a peach.
Oh.
Just because, again, like the zucchini blossoms that I like so much, the perfect peach is really only grows in such a short window of time in the early summer here that I just feel like they're so special because they're rare.
Yeah, no, we're getting a lot of chat here. We've got strawberries. Hang on one sec. It's moving so fast, I'm trying to scroll. Hang on one second. Okay.
There's mango and pumpkin, nectarines, peach, blueberries, kiwis, guava, cherry and mangoes, pears, bananas and cherries and mangoes. I think that's
right.
all of them right now. So
yeah, that's great. So everybody loves fruit. My favorite is an avocado, which only has one pit in the middle of it, one seed, but an avocado. I mean, I could go on and on about that.
Why don't you share, Dawniele, what you shared with me yesterday about the avocado pit that you have in your window?
Oh, yeah. So that was kind of an extension from our first Zoom, library Zoom, and that was on the roots. Well, actually, it was part of our home activity. And so what I did is I just took it out and stuck some toothpicks in it, and I rested it on top of a jar, filled it with water, and I'm hoping to sprout a new avocado plant. So that's something fun to do if you happen to have an avocado.
Yeah, and avocados do grow around here. You don't see them too often, but boy, every once in a while you'll see a giant avocado in somebody's tree in somebody's yard, and it makes me jealous to think that I could grow all of those.
All that, you know, guacamole.
Buy them at the store.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, someone said pear, and then banana, cherries, and mangoes. Okay, I think we're all done with that. Great.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, everybody. So I think that does it for for fruit. So we're going to go back in to Dawniele's garden again, and actually then she goes into her kitchen a little bit on the end. You won't recognize this photo in the video. But we are going to go on a bit of a seed hunt because, you know, seeds are a little hard to find sometimes, and they go unnoticed. We don't think about them that much. So here we go.
All right. So I'm going to, yeah. Looks like a squirrel took down one of my sunflowers. But look at all of these seeds this one giant sunflower will produce. And you can see the little flowers that each flower produced one seed. And this is a, oh my gosh, this is a marigold. And when they're dry, you can pull them off and look at all those seeds. Those are all marigold seeds. And this is the nasturtium plant with the round leaves. They taste peppery. You can eat this flower. And there is a seed. That flower had been pollinated, and there's a seed there. It's going to drop. And then in the kitchen, I was just trying to show you guys that, you know, a lot of times you just got to open up the fruit to see the seeds inside. We have a hot pepper there, a tomato from my garden, and here's a lemon cucumber with all the seeds inside.
Yum.
Yeah, so seeds are great, you know. They're not only, you know, we eat a lot of them, but they're also used in lots of things like jewelry. They used to be used as currency. I remember as a kid, we would make tambourines with them inside. We'd put beans inside of paper plates and staple them together. And, you know, they're just a lot of fun. So I'm going to just talk about, you know, once the flower has been pollinated and it grows a fruit, inside are the seeds. And so seeds are just really cool because once they dry, they have a hard outer coating, okay, like a shell or almost like a jacket. Like, you know, when we go outside and it's stormy out or windy, we put a jacket on to protect ourselves. Well, seeds have this natural defense, which is the seed coat. And what is it protecting? Well, inside is a little baby plant or a plant embryo. And that is that's the new plant just waiting for the right conditions to sprout up. And inside that seed is also food stored up in order to help that baby embryo plant go ahead and sprout. So seeds also can lay dormant. They kind of sleep for a long time, and they can live, you know, they can lie in dormancy for years. So they're kind of like a volcano, you know, for years before the volcano erupts. Kind of think of a seed, same thing. It's just waiting for those right conditions. And what are those conditions? It needs water, and it needs the right temperature of the soil. Some seeds will go ahead and sprout in warmer soil versus others which will need cooler soil. And also they need air. And, you know, once they wake up out of dormancy or break dormancy, it's called germination. And then all of a sudden you'll see a little, you know, sprout, a little baby plant shoot up. And they have different ways of moving and kind of naturally just, you know, finding their way out into our world. The wind will move some of them. They have little mechanics, you know, like a maple seed, maple tree seed, you know, little mechanics that they will catch the wind or they'll flutter down. If you blow a dandelion, you're actually blowing a giant seed ball into probably your neighbor's lawn. But they will grow more dandelion plants. And it's a lot of fun to do. I would call them wishing flowers as a kid. And they also have little, you know, sometimes little hooks that will like attach themselves to you. So if you go for a hike in the grass and you come out and you've got all these little like burrs or, you know, stickers or something, those are actually seeds. And they have found a way to kind of attach themselves so then people and animals move them for them. And they float, like a coconut will float. And what else am I missing, Kat, of another way that seeds move?
Well, animal poo.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Birds will eat them. I always forget this one. I don't know why.
What everybody likes to talk about.
That's true. Animals will go ahead and eat them. Birds, like for example, birds or let's say like a bear, you know, will eat, you know, some of the fruit, and then the birds will fly away. And as they poop, there are actually some seeds that can, you know, live. And actually some of them need to be in that bird's gut in order to break dormancy. And then they go ahead and they land wherever. And then, hey, a new plant can grow. So seeds are pretty incredible. One thing I definitely just wanted to point out is, like, if you're eating a cucumber, you know, and there's all these seeds, the seeds have to be dried. So you can't just take those seeds that have kind of that jelly around them and, you know, or like a pomegranate, and then put it right in the ground and expect those seeds to germinate. They won't. They'll actually rot. So the seeds have to be dried. So like tomato fruit seeds, you have to dry them before you could go ahead and then plant them. And then you also have to just kind of be aware, like, you can't plant a sunflower in the winter and expect it to grow because it's going to be too cold. So you kind of got to know the time of year when that seed would be appropriate to go ahead and plant and try to grow.
Great.
And then examples of seeds that we eat. one of the things that we have that you can pick up at the library, and we hope you will, is some popcorn, which is actually just, you know, a warmed up kernel of corn and sunflower seeds. We eat pumpkin and pepitas, pumpkin seeds. This is a great time of year to carve a pumpkin and get a recipe and roast those pumpkin seeds. Try that out. Pomegranate, and we eat other seeds like poppy, chia, rice, and beans. Oh my gosh, my favorite. Coconut. And so we would like to know in the chat now what your favorite seeds are to eat. So go ahead.
My favorite are beans for sure.
Somebody in the chat said sometimes plants shoot out their seeds. That's right. They kind of burst open like a pod, and they burst open and they shoot their seeds out. So thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so someone loves pepitas. Yummy. Sunflower and sesame. I love sesame seeds too.
Oh, sesame.
Poppy. Poppy seeds are great on a muffin. Yummy. Or a bagel. Or in, what's that?
I put them on salads, poppy seeds.
Ooh, yeah. Anybody else want to share what their favorite seeds are? I love corn on the cob and popcorn. Yummy, me too. Sesame. Someone loves pine nuts. Ooh, yummy, yes. Make some good pesto with that, or just sprinkle them on a salad. Mung beans. Sesame seeds, poppy seeds, pumpkin seeds, popcorn. Someone is a big seed fan.
Seeds are just amazing, aren't they? I mean, I think we take them for granted a lot of times. And I think a lot of people forget that, you know, things like rice and beans.
Those are seeds.
You know, and I don't know, I just think it's so cool that seeds have the capacity for such life. And because of that, they nourish us so much. So when we eat them, you know, think about that. They have the energy inside them to create a new plant. And if we eat that seed, I mean, we're getting that nourishment too.
All that energy is coming into us. Yes. Someone said, I like poppy and sunflowers. Yeah. So yeah, seeds are incredible. And they're so beautiful and colorful, and they all come in, you know, different shapes and sizes, just like flowers, you know, just like the fruit. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, moving right along. So we just talked a lot about flowers and fruits and seeds, and we even reviewed a little bit about the roots and the stems and the leaves. So it's kind of a lot of information. And if you guys have any questions about any of that, please, you can enter them in the chat and we will get to it at the end. But we do want to switch gears a little bit and talk about eating. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting hungry after talking about all of my favorite fruits and seeds, and we are going to do a little bit of a taste. And before we taste, though, we're going to talk about what it means to eat the rainbow. So this is a big component of the Dig It, Grow It, Eat It program, and something that Dawniele and I as teachers teach to our kids in the garden ed classroom all the time. And that is about eating the rainbow and why it's so important.
Yeah, so if you don't have a snack of fruit or vegetable, I'm going to be specific, try to grab a colorful fruit or veg. If you haven't grabbed one already, like we've said, we've had popcorn kind of waiting for everybody to pick up, and it's still going to be available next week. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about why it's beneficial to eat the rainbow. And when I say eat the rainbow, I am not talking about running and grabbing your favorite colorful bag of candy. That would be the first thing my kids would say, yay, I'm eating healthy, look at this. It's like a handful of sour candies. I'm talking about a rainbow of fruits and vegetables, and just trying to incorporate as many colors as you can. Daily would be great. If not daily, weekly, just try to be aware that hey, red things help me, and orange things, and green, and they help you in different ways. And they do that because plants contain phytochemicals that actually give them the color. And they then, when we eat them, the phytochemicals are actually, it's like a phytonutrient. It's converted into vitamins that then help us thrive. So one example of this, Kat, do you want to click to the next one?
This is going to be.
I just wanted to talk about carotenoids. And so carotenoids are found in yellow, orange, and red fruits and vegetables. And those antioxidants, you know, help tackle free radicals, which are bad things that are from our environment, like pollution. And it can damage tissue. So like if you go, I just wanted to, you know, talk about carotenoids. So the red, orange, and yellow, it helps protect the tissue. So do you want to talk a little bit about Rainbow Joe, Kat?
Yeah. So, you know, Dawniele was just throwing out a lot of big words, you know, phytochemical and phytonutrient and carotenoid and, you know, lots of big scientific words that, but a really simple way that we teach kids about eating the rainbow is through our friend Rainbow Joe here. So Rainbow Joe is kind of a little bit more than a stick figure, but it's a little body that it's color coded. And so you can just look at Rainbow Joe and look at all the different colors of the rainbow and how each of those colors of a food that we eat helps a certain part of the body. So what immediately jumps out to me when I look at this is green. I see all of the green bones, and don't forget about teeth when we talk about bones. So, you know, when you eat green foods, that's exactly what it does. It strengthens your bones, it strengthens your gut and your overall immunity, you know. And then, you know, you can see red, you know, Dawniele talked about red, orange, and yellow. That red line goes all the way around Rainbow Joe's body. So can help remind you that, you know, red foods help your skin. They also help your heart. So you can see Rainbow Joe's heart there. And blue and purple foods help with memory and aging. You know, we even eat white and tan foods. So with thinking about things like mushrooms and potatoes. Yeah. So they lower cholesterol, they help your gut. So, you know, every color of the rainbow helps every part of the body. And should we eat now?
Yeah, I think so. I think we should do our tasting. I'm getting hungry.
I think last time, as I was explaining all these different colors, we were sort of munching along the way. Because I like this slide. There's a lot of information in this slide.
And Divya just asked about rice.
I saw that. I don't quite understand the question. It says, what about rice? Rice is a seed. Are you talking about like the color of the rice? That would be a white food. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or, you know, white and tan.
Brown, tan.
There's black rice as well, isn't there? I think so.
Oh yeah. Yep. And red rice.
Yeah, red rice.
Yeah, so you know, the snack that we had, I have popcorn in front of me.
I do too.
And should I put my video on? Did we have our video on last time? You probably don't want to see me munching. But so for instance, so go ahead and, you know, just snack away, taste away as we talk about this a little bit more. But you know, I wanted to also talk about tasting and how we do tastings in the garden with kids. And instead of just shoveling it all the food in your mouth, which I think a lot of us do because we get so hungry at school and we don't have much time to eat. and we want to like put that snack in our mouth as fast as we can. But sometimes it's nice to just take it a little slow and to look at and to appreciate our food before we eat it and during. So like, for instance, I am just looking at a handful of popcorn in my hand. And hang on one second. I was going to try to share my video, but I can't figure out how to do it. Oh, here we go. Oh, well, it's not letting me share my video.
Oh, if you're sharing your screen up at the top, hover at the very top of your screen.
I did that, but then when I
the menu doesn't come down?
It does, and then I clicked it. I clicked the start video, and it said I can't because I stopped it.
Oh, here, let me
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
You guys see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Oh, you can. Okay, I can't see. I can't see me.
It's because you're sharing your screen still. So.
Oh, it's all. I'll get Zoom one of these days. So yeah, so I'm eating my popcorn, and you know, before I even put it in my mouth, I'm just sort of like looking at it. And first of all, I'm always amazed with popcorn because you know, how does one little seed, one little kernel of popcorn with heat, you know, explode into all these different shapes, and everyone's different. Like only nature can do that. I think that's just amazing. You know, and I like to smell it with my students. You know, once it's been popped, it takes on a smell. It didn't have it before I popped it. So that's pretty cool too. And, you know, I like the sound of it. I like to have kids, you know, break it apart, you know, and listen to it, you know, before they actually pop it into their mouth.
Should we ask everybody what they're eating, what they're munching?
Yeah, I'm so curious. Like, what's everybody eating? And, you know, like if it's a strawberry, like, look at all those tiny little seeds. And, you know, if it's, oh gosh, I don't know. Are you lucky enough to eat a pomegranate? Or, you know, if you're eating a carrot, is it one of those that has the greens that are still attached to the end? Or is it one of those little, we call them baby carrots, but they're not really baby carrots, but the ones that are all cut down into uniform sizes?
Somebody's eating a guava.
Oh, yum. I mean, I love how popcorn just kind of melts in your mouth.
And somebody's eating grapes, seedless, but still have tiny, tiny seeds. Super sweet.
I had some grapes yesterday, and they were tiny, tiny little Chardonnay grapes.
So what color grapes, I'm wondering, because if they're blue or purple grapes, or if they're green grapes or red grapes, they have a different phytochemical makeup, or, you know, let's see here, lettuce and red cabbage. And that's really cool because, you know, the red cabbage is definitely red. And I don't know what color the lettuce greens are, or the lettuce is. Maybe it's green, so you're eating two different colors. And then somebody said, oh, the grape question. Black finger grapes, new to me this season. And that's exciting too, is to try different colors of the same stuff that you maybe have been eating. I've gotten really into black grapes. They're just, or maybe they're just a real deep purple, but they are just so filled with flavor. And normally I'm just kind of stuck on my usual red or green. And so there's been a lot more varieties. So it's kind of fun to try that.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, Dawniele, I do want to go back and show a video that is a fun way to sort of watch, I think, exactly what you're saying. And that's, you know, I love teaching kids in the garden because it opens them up to eating new things. And I'm going to show you guys just a quick kind of silly video that I didn't plan. There was no script. I was just making a salad from things that the kids had gathered all around the garden. So you'll see there's flowers in this salad, there's vegetables, there's lettuce, there's fruits. So everybody gathered things and we put some dressing on it and I was tossing it and they just came up with this song and it was, it's cute. And so sort of the power of eating the rainbow. Let me share it with you here.
Can I see? 1, 2, 3, go. I want the strawberries. I want the flowers too. I want the strawberries too. They taste so good. I want the flowers so they might taste so good. Yum, 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 hey. Yum, 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 yum.
All right. And now I popped one in my teeth and you guys can probably all see that as I'm smiling.
Well, and that's really fun too, is to try to make a rainbow salad to eat it for a meal. The rainbow that we had on a couple of slides with just all the fruits and veggies that we were looking on, I actually served that for dinner the other night, and we all loved it. And whatever was left over, great. It was used for breakfast and snack the next day. So it's, you know, you could definitely have some fun with bringing that in into your diet.
Great. Well, we are getting close to our 1 hour mark. So everybody keep eating if you're still snacking. And I just wanted to summarize a little bit about what we talked about today. So we talked about the special jobs that all the plant parts have. Flowers, their big job is they produce the seeds for a new plant if they get pollinated. And so that's why they're so colorful. We talked about those fleshy fruits and how their job is to protect the seeds inside. And then we talked about seeds and how amazing they are and that their job is to grow a new plant. And we talked about how we can eat all the different parts of the plants, but not every part of every plant. And then we ended by talking about Rainbow Joe and eating a rainbow colorful diet every day or as often as you can to stay healthy and strong. So we would like to end by, before we get to questions that are in the queue or that are in the chat, we have a question for you, and that is, what are we looking at? So what is this, first of all, and what part of the plant is it? So if you think you answer, type it in the chat. What is that bee getting at in there? That might be a hint.
Oh man, we've got to, everybody is, I'm not going to say it yet. I'm waiting for everybody to hit flower. Okay. You guys all get an A+++++. Everybody seems to know it's an artichoke. And so good job, everybody. And everybody knows it's a flower. And somebody even said artichoke flower and it's being pollinated. Yay! Great job.
Good job. Are there any questions in the chat that?
I'm not seeing any questions. So I think we're good to keep going.
Okay. So if you have them, type them in there. And then we'll finish by just showing you a quick list of books that we like. They're available in the library. And by the way, this is being recorded, like Franklin mentioned, so you will be able to access this whole presentation later if you wanted to remember the titles of these. They will be there. And then we have to list our references always when we give presentations because we want to give credit where credit is due. And here's some numbers of how to get a hold of us as Master Gardeners. If you have questions at any time about things you're growing, maybe a plant's not doing well in your yard. You used to be able to bring, leaves of that infected plant maybe into the office to ask somebody, but with COVID, we're not doing that. But you can certainly get in touch with us by through the website and email.
Yeah, and I think people can definitely submit photos of ill plants.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And then lastly, this is a fun little activity. Dawniele, do you want to explain about making newspaper pots?
Yeah, so this is a real fun at-home activity. It typically people will get newspaper even just in their mail, and you just can take a newspaper and you can make it into a little flower pot that then you can plant directly in the soil, or you can plant it in a bigger container later on. So I just took a cylinder, like a jar. You can use any kind of container that just has one side open. And you just need a little bit of soil and some seeds. Go ahead and do next slide. Yeah. So I just fold it long ways. So I try to, I take my piece of newspaper and I fold it so as long as I can make it. And then I just roll up the newspaper. But see, notice my jar placement. I have the jar with the open side in the middle of that piece of newspaper and kind of halfway hanging off. So that's what you want to do. And you just roll it up, and then I tuck the stuff into the extra newspaper into the jar opening. And like I said, you don't need a jar. You can use any kind of container. If you're using like a tin can, be careful. You might want to get help from an adult because you don't want to cut yourself. But you can use, a plastic container, and then you roll it up, and then I slide the container out, and then I just kind of tuck, I kind of make it into a pot. And so sometimes you have to like push down that extra newspaper, fill it with soil, put your seeds in. You want to make sure that you look at the seeds that you're planting. And if you picked up the seeds from the library, these are probably a little bit more of a scatter bunch that you can just kind of scatter around outside. But if you wanted to try to go ahead and grow some of these, you could sprinkle some of these, make sure you cover them with some soil and keep the soil damp. And if you're going to have this inside for a while, I'd put it on a plate or a dish. But what's cool about this is you can then plant this actual little newspaper pot directly into the soil or a container, and it'll just biodegrade on its own. And then there you go. So that is a newspaper pot. There are a ton of different ways to make these. You can get really cool with origami, and you can, go crazy and look online, and you'll come up with, you can measure it. You can really get into the math of it too. Or you could just do this real simplified version that I enjoy. And it's a fun home activity. And that's it. So I don't see any questions.
Oh, we got. So if there are no questions, thanks for joining us today, you guys.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Thank you again, Dawniele and Catherine, for doing this, and we'll see you guys next time. And then don't forget, everybody, if you still would like to get a pack of seeds or popcorn, just call us at the library so we can arrange a pickup time for you to come by during curbside to pick them up. So thank you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.